Hello everyone. In this video, I would honestly like to give my own anime recommendation of different animes that I've seen recently and just in the past that's good to watch for, this whole entire time with this whole lockdown going on and the pandemic going on. Now, the first anime that I would like to bring up when it comes to this list would be Drifting Dragons. Now, honestly, I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch the whole anime, but when it comes to its, I guess, what's the word? Its summary to also the layout of the whole anime as a whole, it's very interesting. And on top of that, the animation is spot on as well too. Now, why I'm recommending this show slash series as a whole is because, well, these two things. One, the animation. The animation is not only just phenomenal in its own rights, but it's also because of the fact that when you look at the animation and just the whole landscape of what unique, luxurious world drifting dragons can have and display, it would be just the fact that it's very just luxurious and exotic. And on top of that, since the main characters, which is this unique air crew that's always riding in this airship or whatever, or this blimp as a whole, basically they're flying up in the air and they trying to find different dragons that they could apprehend and sell to different people in different towns so they can make money, whether for themselves and also for the airship itself in a way too. Think of somebody who wants to be a fisherman, but way more fun and way more exotic in a way because you're hunting for legendary mythical creatures, mainly dragons. That and on top of that, it's just the fact of if I had to get deeper into the animation itself, it kind of reminds you of Avatar: Last Airbender, especially over the fact of there's airships or blimp airships even made or exist in that universe, and on top of that correlates around legendary creatures. Again, Avatar vibes. But yeah, I highly recommend Drifting Dragons as one anime. The second anime would be Bento. Now, why Bento is, well, is first comedic while at the same time full of action. The comedic side is just the fact that well, the whole premise is just basically people who keep finding grocery stores for discount bento that are hella cheap, and it's just pretty dang funny if you think of just the whole main concept of the whole anime as a whole. And then if you also rethink on it in a somewhat I guess not too funny, but somewhat I don't know, humorous way in the sense you think about it, you can think of two references in these modern times or these present times now as to when people are fighting over each other for something that they need or something that they want. And those two times would be Popeye's the chicken sandwich whole fiasco and people just acting like a whole fool for that. Then on top of that, you have this pandemic going on and people fighting over people for toilet tissues and also groceries and other essentials. That and especially over cleaning products. It's just a whole mess when it comes to bento. So yeah, I highly recommend it. And the action is spot on as well too, especially when it comes to the fight sequences. Hella badass. Now, the other anime that I recommend would be Danganronpa, and it's the whole anime. Don't stop at just the first season or season two, the whole anime. The only reason why I say that is because for one, I know people out there are bored. It is slow. Y'all stuck up in that house, whether y'all have to do some online work, like I had to do online work, or either y'all just stuck in that house, just trying to be productive in different ways, or just trying to find some fun. and that's why I highly recommend Danganronpa to watch the whole series because like Danganronpa as a whole has like hold on a second, I need to hydrate. You know, these days. Yeah. So Danganronpa as a whole, what honestly it has like 3 seasons and then there's one special episode. And no, the special episode does not have fan service. In that way when it comes to plot. The only well, I'm just gonna put I quotes on plot. The only plot slash fan service that the special episode has is just the fact of it tells people what happens after like everything is resolved. And I'm not spoiling, I swear, that's just how Danganronpa as a whole, when it comes to the whole series, works. You have honestly the main general season, which is up to 25 episodes or 12, I think, either or. And then you have like season 2, which is the Despair arc. Despair is basically mainly up to 25 episodes and it talks about how everything like became a head. And then there's the Hope arc or the Hope like honestly season, which is season 3. And season 3 is when everything comes to a head and everyone is trying to fight back towards the main enemy, which is Junko Enoshima. And long story short, it's a very interesting anime as a whole, whether it be just the main premise of the fact of well, at first it started from main general season where everyone is being held hostage in one institution and everyone has to find it's like a what's the word a mystery like killer game in a way where it's like one person kills one person and then the next day when they see the corpse they have to form a group to see who is the killer. And long story short, if the whole group basically fails, um, they all basically get executed except for the killer. Now, if the group honestly persecutes the right killer and they are fully correct, then honestly the whole group is fine. Aside from that, yeah, that's Danganronpa as a whole. I very much recommend the whole anime. Another anime that I kind of recommend would be Doro. The only reason why I say I recommend it is because honestly, it's another mystery type of anime. Main character Kaimon, his head got turned into a lizard man or something like that, and dude's trying to find out who in this universe turned his head into a lizard head. And long story short, you have 3 factions in this anime. One is the whole, the other part of the universe in this anime would be just the wizard's realm, and then you have like the myth. I'm just going to call the other realm the mythological re- realm in the sense when it comes to the anime Doro. Think of basically street level Harry Potter in a sense, but yeah, that's just how it is. The only reason why I say it's called street level Harry Potter is because of the fact of well, basically the whole is mainly streets and looks like it's like from the projects. The world in the sense is well, think of Harry when he's back at Hogwarts and he's back in Hogwarts, basically hanging out with his classmates at their wizard's pub and just chilling before going to any wizard classes. Think of it like that. I'm not going to give more like information than that when it comes to Doro. Y'all just need to watch it. If I had to talk about the animation, which is another thing why I recommend it, this anime is basically phenomenal, especially when like the wizards do their magic because long story short, how wizards execute their magic is their main source is called dust. Dust in a way basically is their like magical source in a way. And when they execute it, think of Gara in a way when he has grain of sand all over the place, but dust is more like gas in a way when when executed from other wizards. Long story short, very entertaining anime, and it's unique. And on top of that, it's interesting. The last two animes that I would like to honestly recommend would be Seven Seeds and also the other one, this one anime movie called White Snake. Now, why I recommend these two, and I probably might recommend a few more, like at least one more after these two. White Snake, I feel like it's like an old fashioned Japanese like anime movie. Very interesting, very fluid, and on top of that, it's just the animation, like I said just now, is very fluid itself. The story, in a way, is kind of fluid as well too. Long story short, the main character at first is going to be this woman that looks human, but actually she's half snake. And then on top of that, you have a whole lot of yokai folklore within the movie. And when it comes to like the main woman uniqueness of being half snake, it's not just stops there. She's actually a white snake, as the movie name implies. And her abilities, long story short, she can turn to half snake, and on top of that, she can honestly like have the power to basically become cold or create some type of cold light temperatures that can be really freezing in a way. I'm not going to give more information than that. It's a very interesting movie. I would highly suggest it. And on top of that, there's also a love interest in the movie as well too, and it's very progressive, very interesting. Seven Seeds, yet another anime that's very relatable to what's going on in this pandemic, similar to Bento. The only difference is Seven Seeds, in a way, is an anime to where it's an overpowered reference to all the old shows that talk about survival or survival of islands and stuff. Basically, the government created some type of like frozen process to where people were put in different institutions to where they were like in chronostasis, and after being woken up from these chronostasis, they awake to this whole different landscape of just unique land where predators, whether insects or animals, are just larger and are more aggressive. That, and on top of that, depending on what area of the island they're on or what type of island they are on, most likely the plant life is going to be aggressive as well too. Is up to mainly all these different teams that the government created to honestly just try to upstart life in a way, in their own ways. Try to upstart it again, humanity itself again, and survive the whole terrain of all of these islands. Technically, I don't know all island. Maybe there are seven. There's probably more. But other than that, yeah, it's a pretty good anime as a whole, especially when it comes to survival and how these characters do try to survive within them. The very last anime that I recommend would be Somali and the Forest Spirit. Now, the only reason why I recommend this anime is because one, animation, again, another spot on, like good, very good as level type of animation itself. And on top of that, the whole, I guess, again, the landscape and the whole terrain of this universe when it comes to the anime as a whole of Somali and the Forest Spirit is very exotic, immensely whimsical in a way because the whole like landscape is kind of based off of nature while at the same time a mixture of like a little bit of like magic in some way, or like I'm trying to think of the word. It's more like a mystical like element in the sense. Everything's very like honestly mystical. And on top of that, when it comes to the whole premise, basically one human kid, he gets like caught up in one forest, and he's basically like unprotected protected. He's very young, he doesn't know what's going on and stuff. And then there's this one golem, this one spirit golem that's like, let me help you, and etc. And the whole sole purpose between their dynamic is the golem is trying to find humans to take care of this kid, and then the golem goes about his business, whether he lives from like their experiences in this treacherous like journey, or whether he dies from it one way or the other. Very interesting, very interesting anime as well too. That, and on top of that, if you think about it, it's kind of relatable to what's going on now in a way. Well, aside from the pandemic, it also kind of is relatable because it also kind of talks about race in a way, because since this is like a magical like world that's very exotic, and it's like half human, and then there's the other side where there's like different characters that are unique in their own ways and have their own type of different species. Honestly, it's very unique. And on top of that, it talks about race where both sides are different, and how honestly each side kind of treated each other differently in a way. Like it's basically racism going back and forth in a way, in a sense, like underlined in a way. But if you like this video, please leave a like. If you also found it enjoyable, please subscribe. Thank you and bye.